The twin suns of Vorlok Prime blazed across the sky, their light casting golden streaks over the tall, shimmering towers of the city. Everywhere, Vorlokians moved with precision and speed, their limbs almost a blur as they navigated the streets and plazas. Among them, Commander Zira walked with a quiet confidence. She had trained for centuries, honing her reflexes to perfection. To her, the galaxy had nothing faster, nothing cleverer, nothing that could match the agility of her people. She prided herself on this superiority, believing it to be absolute. Zira had spent most of her life in the Vorlokian Defense Academy, pushing the limits of her own speed. Other Vorlokians admired her, some feared her, but all recognized her unmatched prowess. She was often called upon to test new recruits, to challenge them in ways that would separate the capable from the weak. And today, like every day, she moved through the city with the grace of someone who believed they were untouchable. Far above, in the orbiting spaceport, a small vessel descended slowly. Its hull bore the markings of Earth, a planet far across the galaxy. The people of Vorlok Prime rarely received visitors, and even fewer came from a world so distant and primitive, or so the Vorlokians believed. Commander Zira watched from her tower as the craft approached, noting the human insignia with a faint smile. Humans were small, slow, fragile. She had studied their species in archives and simulations. They were clever, yes, but physically weak, vulnerable to almost every challenge a Vorlokian faced. The ship landed with a soft thrum, and the hatch opened. Out stepped Alex, a man of average build, with brown hair that fell into his eyes and a calm expression that did not betray the nervous excitement he felt. He had trained extensively for this mission, but nothing in his experience could have prepared him for the sight of Vorlok Prime. The towers stretched impossibly high. Moving walkways carried Vorlokians faster than he could comprehend, and every surface seemed alive with energy. Alex adjusted the straps of his backpack, his gaze sweeping over the city. He had come to observe, to understand, and to build a bridge between his people and this alien civilization. But as he stepped onto the streets, he immediately felt the weight of every pair of eyes upon him. Vorlokians slowed their movements to watch him, curious but wary. He was a human, fragile and out of place in this world of unparalleled speed and power. Zira approached, her presence commanding attention. She was taller than most humans would be, her posture straight and proud, her movements precise. Her eyes scanned Alex with the detached interest of someone observing a specimen. "You must be the human," she said, her voice smooth but carrying the authority of one who never hesitated. "I am Commander Zira. You will find Vorlok Prime challenging." Alex smiled politely, nodding. "I am Alex. It's an honor to be here. I've read much about your civilization. I hope to learn from it." Zira raised an eyebrow, barely suppressing a laugh. "Learn? Humans are not known for speed or strength. You may find survival difficult." Alex did not respond with arrogance, only with quiet confidence. He had learned that brashness rarely won respect. "I will do my best," he said simply. The first days were awkward for Alex. Even walking through the city proved a challenge. The Vorlokians moved so fast, and their technology responded instantly to gestures and commands he barely had time to comprehend. Simple doors opened and closed before he could reach them, platforms adjusted and shifted, and automated guides seemed almost alive. Zira watched him stumble over one walkway, catching himself with a flailing arm, and she suppressed a chuckle. Humans were so fragile, so predictable. Yet small moments began to draw her attention. A falling crate in the marketplace nearly struck him, and Alex twisted in a motion so sudden and fluid that he avoided it by mere inches. Later, when a small energy drone lost control and sped toward a group of civilians, Alex reached out and intercepted it, moving with surprising precision. Zira saw these moments, and though she quickly dismissed them as luck, a small curiosity began to grow. The Vorlockian Academy invited Alex to observe a training session. Zyra led the drills, commanding recruits to race across shifting platforms, dodge energy beams, and leap over sudden obstacles. The recruits moved in ways that seemed impossible to a human eye, but Zyra's movements were unmatched. Every gesture was exact, every leap perfect. She moved like lightning, and the observers knew she would win any contest of speed. Alex watched quietly from the side, noting the patterns, the timing, the rhythm of each obstacle. While he could not match the Vorlockians physically, his mind worked differently. He memorized their sequences, anticipated their movements, and calculated the best path through each challenge. When a drone suddenly shifted trajectory, he reacted instinctively, barely moving his feet, yet adjusting his balance to avoid collision. Zyra noticed, her eyes narrowing. The human moved with unexpected awareness, but surely that was all. In the evening, Zyra and Alex walked through the city's quiet observation deck, overlooking the glowing streets below. The air shimmered with residual energy from the city's power systems, and the twin suns had begun their descent, casting long shadows. Zyra spoke first, her tone a mix of curiosity and subtle challenge. "Humans are known to be fragile," she said. "Even with intelligence, the body has limits. How do you survive in a galaxy that moves faster than you can perceive?" Alex considered her words carefully. "We survive because we adapt. We may not be as fast, as strong, or as physically precise, but we observe, learn, and adjust. We find ways to overcome challenges that seem impossible." Zyra tilted her head, intrigued despite herself. "Observation is not enough. In battle, speed decides victory. Reflexes must be instantaneous. The body must act before the mind has time to think." Alex nodded. "Perhaps. But sometimes, seeing the pattern and understanding it allows a reaction faster than instinct alone." Zyra frowned slightly, but she said nothing more. She had not yet seen enough to believe it. The next day, a demonstration of the city's defensive systems was scheduled. A group of recruits, including Zyra, would perform a trial simulating the defense of Vorlock Prime against attackers. Alex was invited to participate, not as a combatant, but as an observer. He stood at the edge of the platform, eyes tracking each movement. The trial began with energy beams firing from the walls, platforms shifting underfoot, and drones attempting to simulate enemy strikes. Zyra moved effortlessly, a blur of precision, leaping and dodging with an elegance no human could match. But then an unexpected malfunction occurred. One of the drones, malfunctioning faster than the control system could react, spun wildly toward a human-shaped target in the simulation, Alex. Without thinking, he jumped to the side, spun midair, and landed perfectly balanced on a moving platform. His motion was brief, almost imperceptible. Yet it saved him from a collision that would have destroyed the simulation target. Zyra froze mid-leap. She had not anticipated such a reaction from a human. Her eyes tracked him again and again, trying to understand. How could he react so quickly without training? Every movement was fluid, precise, and unexpected. For a moment, she doubted herself. Over the following days, Alex's presence began to create subtle ripples in the academy. He asked questions, observed patterns, and moved in ways that seemed clumsy at first but were strangely effective. Vorlockians watched him with a mix of confusion and disbelief. Zyra, once certain of human inferiority, felt the first stirrings of doubt. Perhaps there was more to this species than she had assumed. The tension between curiosity and pride grew in Zyra. She found herself studying Alex in moments when she thought he would not notice. He did not boast, he did not challenge her, yet every action seemed to suggest a hidden strength. She could not see it fully, but she sensed it. It was subtle, like a quiet rhythm beneath a roaring current. Then came the day of the council meeting, where foreign delegates were observed, and trials of skill were often requested. Alex was invited to participate in a minor demonstration, and Zira's curiosity could no longer be contained. She would see firsthand whether this human's abilities were real or merely luck. The trial was simple. Navigate a series of platforms while dodging simulated attacks. Zira moved first, her speed flawless, every jump measured, every dodge precise. She finished quickly, barely breaking a sweat. Alex stepped forward, unassuming, and began his attempt. At first, his movements seemed ordinary, almost awkward. But as the trial continued, he adjusted, anticipating the shifts of the platforms, the timing of the attacks, moving with a subtle rhythm that was impossible to predict. Zira watched, her eyes wide. For the first time, a human moved in a way that challenged her perception. He was not faster than her, not yet, but his reactions were clever, almost as if he could see the path before it existed. He twisted, leaped, and shifted in ways that defied expectation. When he finished, the observers were silent. Zira, breathing heavily from exertion, realized that her confidence in human weakness had been shaken. Alex smiled calmly as if nothing extraordinary had happened, but Zira knew differently. This human had something she did not yet understand, something that could rival speed, strength, and reflexes. That night, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon and the city lights glimmered like a million stars, Zira could not sleep. She stared at the ceiling of her quarters, replaying every movement she had witnessed. She had thought humans were weak. She had been wrong. And somewhere deep inside, a spark of excitement began to grow, a desire to understand, to test, and perhaps to learn from this human who moved faster than her expectations. The morning air of GalacticPrime was sharp and crisp, filled with the hum of energy from the city below. The twin suns had barely risen, painting the towers in shades of gold and silver, and the streets were already alive with Vorlokians rushing to their daily routines. Zira stood on the observation platform above the main training grounds, her posture straight, her eyes focused. Today was the day of the speed trial, an event she both loved and respected, for it tested the limits of agility, reflexes, and instinct. For most participants, the trial was a chance to shine, to prove themselves. For Zira, it was another opportunity to demonstrate superiority. Alex arrived shortly after, calm and composed as always. Unlike the Vorlokians, he did not rush, did not move with the instinctive speed of the planet's inhabitants. Yet there was a quiet confidence in his movements, a sense that he belonged, even if he did not yet belong fully. He adjusted his stance as he looked over the complex series of platforms, shifting obstacles and high-speed drones designed to simulate enemy attacks. Zira approached him, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You understand the rules of the trial?" she asked, though it was more a formality than a question. "This will test speed, reflexes, and endurance. Every second counts. Are you ready?" Alex nodded. "I understand. I will do my best." Zira's lips curved into a faint, almost imperceptible smile. She had expected no more. In her mind, the trial would be simple, an easy victory to confirm what she had always believed. Humans were clever, but weak, slow, and fragile. She glanced at the other participants, all Vorlokians, their movements already sharp and precise, muscles coiled and ready. The trial began with a loud signal, a sharp chime that echoed across the training grounds. Zira leaped first, her body moving almost before thought. The platforms shifted beneath her, energy beams shot across paths, and drones darted unpredictably toward her. She moved like a living blur, each step calculated, each leap perfect. Her reflexes were unmatched. Even the fastest drones could not reach her. Observers murmured in awe as she completed the first section flawlessly, landing with grace on the final platform. Alex waited his turn, studying her movements carefully. He had no illusions about the difficulty, no expectation that he could match her raw speed. But he had a strategy, a different approach. Where the Vorlokians relied solely on instinct and physical ability, he relied on observation, anticipation, and precise timing. When the signal came for him to start, Alex moved with surprising fluidity. His initial steps seemed slower, almost awkward, as if he were learning the rhythm of the shifting platforms and the timing of the attacks. Yet, every action had purpose. When an energy beam fired toward him, he sidestepped with a twist, barely a motion, yet completely avoiding contact. A drone swooped down in a sudden arc, and he jumped, twisted in the air, and landed perfectly on the next platform. The movements were small but precise, almost imperceptible in their effectiveness. Zyra's eyes widened slightly. This was not supposed to happen. Humans were predictable. Their bodies were slow. How could one react with such timing? She leaned forward, her mind racing, trying to track every motion, every shift. Yet the faster Alex moved, the more impossible it seemed. He was not just reacting, he was anticipating. Observers gasped as Alex navigated the trial with a grace that seemed impossible for a human. He slipped through moving platforms, avoided drones, and twisted around energy beams with fluidity that left the audience in stunned silence. Zyra, still recovering from her own flawless performance, felt a mix of disbelief and fascination. She had underestimated him. The final section of the trial was the most challenging, a series of platforms moving at unpredictable speeds, with drones attacking from every direction and energy beams firing randomly. Zyra watched as Alex adjusted mid-air, moving with a rhythm that was impossible to predict. Each step, each jump, seemed to defy expectation. He completed the trial not only without a single mistake, but with a speed that almost rivaled hers. When he landed on the final platform, the crowd erupted in shocked applause. Zyra stood frozen for a moment, staring at him. She had thought humans were weak. She had thought they could never match the Vorlokians. And yet, here was Alex, moving faster than she had ever anticipated. A murmur ran through the observers. "Impossible," one Vorlokian whispered. He should not be able to do that." Zyra's mind raced. She could feel the weight of disbelief, the shifting perception of everything she had believed about humans. Alex had not used brute force, nor had he relied solely on instinct. He had used a combination of observation, timing, and creativity that allowed him to move faster than her expectations. She stepped forward, approaching him as he caught his breath, still composed, still calm. "Tell me," she said quietly, her voice carrying both curiosity and a hint of challenge. "How did you do that? Humans are not known for speed." Alex smiled faintly. "I did not move faster than you with strength alone. I observed, I anticipated, and I adjusted. Sometimes, understanding the pattern allows a reaction faster than instinct." Zyra's eyes narrowed, not with anger but with a growing fascination. She had thought she knew everything about speed, about reflexes, about motion, and yet this human had shown her something new, something she could not yet comprehend fully. The trial ended, but its impact lingered. Vorlokians whispered among themselves, debating how a human could move with such skill. Some suggested technology, others believed it was luck. Zyra dismissed those explanations. This was not luck. She had watched him closely. This was something different, something unique. After the trial, Zyra invited Alex to walk with her through the Academy's central gardens. The twin suns cast long shadows. The air was filled with the hum of energy flowing through the city, and the gardens seemed almost alive with light. Zyra's mind was still racing, trying to understand the human before her. "You surprised me today," she said finally, breaking the silence. I have trained for centuries, and I have never seen someone move like that without advanced equipment or years of training. Alex shrugged, modest but calm. I have trained, but not like the Vorlokians. My training focuses on observation and adaptation. We may not be the fastest naturally, but we find ways to compensate. Zira considered this, her pride mixing with curiosity. Compensation alone does not account for such precision. Your timing, it is flawless. You move almost as if you can see the future. Alex smiled faintly. Not the future. Just possibilities. When you understand the limits and patterns, you can predict outcomes with some accuracy. Zira nodded slowly, realizing that his words carried truth. She had relied on instinct, on natural reflexes, on centuries of training. He had relied on something different, something that complemented physical ability with intelligence and creativity. Over the following days, Alex continued to observe and practice within the academy. He studied the Vorlokian movements, learning the patterns of shifting platforms, the timing of energy beams, and the speed of drones. He did not move recklessly. Every motion was deliberate, calculated, and every day Zira watched him with growing respect. She began to see that human ability was not measured in muscle or speed alone, but in the combination of mind and body, observation and action. Zira's pride, once absolute, began to shift. She had always believed humans were weak, fragile, and slow. Now she realized that this human had qualities that were rare even among the fastest Vorlokians. She could not yet fully understand it, but she knew that underestimating him again would be a mistake. One afternoon, a small accident occurred in the training grounds. A malfunctioning drone spun out of control, striking toward a group of students. Without hesitation, Alex moved. He leaped, twisted, and intercepted the drone, guiding it safely away from the students. Zira, observing from above, felt a flicker of admiration. He did not hesitate, he did not panic, he acted with clarity and precision. The students cheered, and Zira descended, her steps swift and deliberate. "You are remarkable," she said, not as a challenge, but as acknowledgement. "I cannot explain it fully, but you possess something few possess, even among the Vorlokians." Alex met her gaze, calm and steady. "Perhaps it is simply a different kind of strength," he said, "one that does not rely on instinct alone." Zira considered his words. She had always equated strength with speed, with the ability to react faster than anyone else. Now, she was beginning to see that true strength could take many forms. Intelligence, adaptability, courage, these were as important as speed. That evening, as the twin suns set and the city glowed with light, Zira returned to her quarters. She could not sleep. Her mind replayed every movement Alex had made, every leap, every twist, every moment when he had defied her expectations. She realized that the human before her was not just fast, he was clever, resourceful, and unpredictable. A new thought began to form in her mind. Perhaps humans were not weak. Perhaps they were underestimated, yes, but underestimated in a way that made them far more dangerous and far more impressive than she had ever imagined. Zira resolved that she would learn more. She would observe, test, and perhaps even work alongside this human. If he could move faster than her expectations, what else could he do? And if humans were capable of more than she had believed, the galaxy might hold surprises she had never considered. As the city lights flickered beneath her, Zira felt a thrill she had not felt in centuries. Curiosity, respect, and a challenge. The human had changed her perspective in ways she could not yet name, and deep inside, she knew that the next days would bring revelations even greater than the speed trial. The morning on GalacticPrime began quietly, with only the hum of the city's energy systems breaking the stillness. Zira walked through the main plaza, her mind replaying the events of the speed trial. Alex's movements haunted her thoughts. He was not just fast, he was clever, adaptive, and unpredictable. The human had changed her understanding of speed, strength, and instinct. She could not ignore it. The city seemed calm, but that calm was deceptive. In the far reaches of the planet, a disturbance rippled through the atmosphere. A low, resonant hum, almost imperceptible at first, grew louder as it spread across the continent. Sensors in the city flickered, and alarms began to chime, though the citizens were not yet aware of the threat. Zira's instincts, honed over centuries, immediately sensed danger. In the control tower, the Vorlokian Council monitored the readings. Energy spikes, rapid atmospheric shifts, and unusual gravitational fluctuations indicated the presence of a creature they had only ever encountered in legend: the Shathrax. The Shathrax was a cosmic predator, capable of extreme speed, immense strength, and unpredictable attacks. It had ravaged several planets across the galaxy before disappearing into the void, and its sudden appearance near GalacticPrime filled the Council with alarm. Zira moved swiftly, her mind racing. She knew the city's defenses, the platforms, the drones, and the energy shields. Yet she also knew that raw power alone might not be enough. The Shathrax was a force unlike any other. Civilians would need protection, and the city's automated defenses could only do so much. The Council ordered all combat units to mobilize. Vorlokian soldiers, trained for speed and combat, moved like lightning across the city, activating shields and preparing countermeasures. Zira led a squad toward the city's main approach, her steps faster than the eye could follow, her senses alert to every movement, every sound. As she reached a high platform overlooking the city's central district, she saw the Shathrax descend from the skies. The creature was massive, its body sleek and muscular, covered in scales that shimmered like liquid metal. Its eyes glowed with a strange intelligence, and its movements were so fast that the sensors struggled to track it. Buildings shook with each step it took, and a wave of fear swept through the city as the citizens caught sight of it. Zira signaled the squad to intercept. Energy beams fired, drones darted toward the predator, and platforms shifted to create barriers, but the Shathrax moved with astonishing speed. It dodged attacks effortlessly, striking with claws that shattered energy shields and tore through metal. The city's defenses, impressive against normal threats, were almost useless against this predator. Zira leaped into action, moving faster than the eye could follow. She attacked the Shathrax, striking with precision, dodging its claws and anticipating its movements. Yet no matter how fast she moved, the creature adapted. It was as if it could sense the rhythm of her attacks, predicting each strike before it landed. From the observation tower, Alex watched calmly. He had studied the city's defenses and the Vorlokians' movements, learning the patterns. When he saw the Shathrax's approach, he did not panic. Instead, he moved with quiet confidence, descending onto the central platforms where civilians had begun to gather in panic. Zira noticed him and frowned. "Stay back," she shouted. "This is dangerous. You cannot face this creature alone." Alex shook his head. "I may not have your speed, but I can help." Before she could argue further, Alex sprinted toward the Shathrax. At first, his movement seemed ordinary, almost slow compared to the Vorlokians, but then he began to adapt. He dodged the predator's strikes with unexpected timing, weaving through attacks and positioning himself between the creature and fleeing civilians. His movements were precise, deliberate, and effective. Zira's eyes widened. He was not just fast. He was thinking, analyzing, and predicting the Shathrax's movements. Each step, each dodge, each leap created opportunities to protect the city. She realized that speed alone was not enough. Intelligence, adaptability, and timing were equally crucial. The Shathrax roared, a sound that shook the air and sent vibrations through the platforms. Its claws tore through a nearby building, sending debris flying. Civilians screamed and scattered, but Alex intercepted falling pieces, pushing people out of harm's way with rapid, calculated movements. Zyra had never seen such precision in action, even among the fastest Vorlokians. Seeing his effectiveness, Zyra adjusted her strategy. She began to coordinate with Alex, following his unpredictable patterns, striking at angles the creature did not expect. For the first time, she realized that a human could complement Vorlokian speed with creativity and adaptability. Together, they formed an unexpected partnership, moving in harmony despite the differences in their natural abilities. The battle intensified. Drones swarmed around the Shathrax, firing energy nets to slow it down. Zyra struck from above, landing precise hits, while Alex moved unpredictably below, intercepting attacks and protecting civilians. The Predator's eyes glowed with fury as it realized it was being challenged in ways it had not encountered before. At one point, the Shathrax lunged at Alex, claws extended. Zyra reacted instinctively, moving to intercept, but Alex shifted mid-leap, landing on a moving platform and redirected the Predator's momentum. The creature lost balance for a brief moment, giving Zyra the opening to strike with full force. Energy beams hit the Shathrax simultaneously from multiple angles, slowing it down enough for a coordinated assault. The battle continued for hours, the city trembling under the force of the Predator's attacks and the efforts of its defenders. Civilians were evacuated in groups, protected by Alex and squads of Vorlokians. Zyra's mind raced, learning from each move Alex made, realizing that his strength lay not in raw speed, but in observation, adaptability, and calculated risk. Finally, after a series of coordinated strikes and clever maneuvers, the Shathrax began to falter. It roared one last time, realizing that the humans and Vorlokians had outmatched it not through brute force alone, but through strategy, teamwork, and unexpected cleverness. With a final leap, Zyra and Alex guided the Predator into a containment field, immobilizing it with energy restraints. The city fell silent. Dust and debris settled, and the citizens, now safe, began to emerge, cheering for the defenders. Zyra stood next to Alex, breathing heavily, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of the battle. For the first time in her life, she had seen a human perform at a level that challenged even the best Vorlokians. Zyra looked at Alex, her eyes filled with a mix of respect and astonishment. You were incredible," she said quietly. "I have never seen anyone, Vorlokian or otherwise, move like that under such pressure." Alex smiled, though tired. "It was not just me. You were incredible, too. We worked together, adapted, and protected the city. That is what matters." Zyra nodded, understanding dawning in her mind. Humans were not weaker because of their bodies. Their strength lay in their adaptability, their courage, and their ability to think under pressure. Alex had demonstrated that even against a creature as formidable as the Shathrax, humans could survive, and even excel. The council approached, their expressions a mix of relief and admiration. "Commander Zyra and Human Alex," one of them began, pausing as if the title itself felt strange. "Your actions today have saved countless lives. The Vorlokian people owe you both a debt of gratitude." Alex shook his head. "It was a team effort. Everyone did their part." Zyra placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of rare warmth. "Do not dismiss it. You were the difference. You were faster than my expectations, faster than anyone could anticipate. Today, you have changed the way I see your species." Alex looked at her calmly. "I hope it is a positive change." Zyra smiled, though it was tinged with awe. "It is. Humans are underestimated far too often. Today I have learned that strength is not just speed or power, but intelligence, adaptability, and courage. The aftermath of the battle left the city damaged but alive. Repairs began immediately, and the citizens shared stories of the human who had moved faster than their eyes could follow. Word spread quickly, and soon the legend of Alex's actions reached every corner of Vorlock Prime. In the following days, Zyra continued to observe Alex, no longer with doubt, but with curiosity and respect. She asked questions about human training, philosophy, and strategy. She wanted to understand how he had managed to move with such precision and effectiveness, how he had predicted the Shathrax's movements and coordinated with her so seamlessly. Alex shared what he could, emphasizing the importance of observation, understanding patterns, and adapting quickly. He explained that humans often survived by facing unpredictable situations, learning to anticipate danger and relying on ingenuity rather than sheer physical ability. Zyra listened intently, realizing that these principles could complement Vorlockian training in ways she had never imagined. The battle with the Shathrax had changed more than just the city. It had changed her perception, her respect for humans, and her understanding of true strength. She now knew that speed alone did not guarantee victory. Intelligence, creativity, and courage were just as important. As the twin suns set once more over the city, Zyra and Alex stood together on the observation platform, overlooking the glowing towers below. The air was filled with a sense of calm after the storm, but both knew that the galaxy was vast, full of challenges, dangers, and mysteries yet to come. Zyra turned to Alex, her expression serious but respectful. "You have proven something extraordinary not just to me, but to all of Vorlock Prime. Humans are not weak. You have shown that even the most underestimated species can rise to meet challenges no one thought possible." Alex nodded. "And I have learned from you as well. Speed, reflexes, and instinct are invaluable. Together, different strengths can accomplish far more than one alone." Zyra smiled faintly. A new respect had been forged, a bond of understanding between species. The Shathrax had been defeated, but the true victory lay in what they had learned from each other. For Zyra, the battle had been a revelation. For Alex, it had been another proof that humans, often underestimated, could rise above expectations. And for Vorlock Prime, it was a reminder that courage, intelligence, and adaptability were just as important as speed and strength in a galaxy full of unknown threats. The aftermath of the Shathrax attack left Vorlock Prime in a state of cautious recovery. Buildings had been damaged, energy grids strained, and the citizens were still shaken by the Predator's sudden and destructive arrival. Yet despite the destruction, the city was alive. Everywhere, Vorlockians worked together, repairing structures, restoring power, and helping those in need. There was a sense of unity, strengthened by the shared experience of survival. Zyra walked through the central district, her gaze moving over the busy streets and repair crews. She had spent hours observing Alex, seeing him coordinate the evacuation, protect civilians, and neutralize dangers that even the fastest Vorlockians could not predict. Each action reminded her that her initial perception of humans had been completely wrong. They were not weak, not fragile, not easily dismissed. They were capable, clever, and resilient. She found Alex near the central plaza, assisting a group of engineers in restoring a damaged energy conduit. He moved efficiently, his mind focused on problem-solving rather than the chaos around him. Even in the midst of destruction, he remained calm, steady, and reliable. Zyra approached, her steps precise and deliberate, though slower than usual, as if she wanted to take in the moment fully. "You have been remarkable," she said softly, almost quietly enough that only he could hear. "I underestimated your species, not because of lack of respect, but because I thought I understood your limitations. I was wrong. Alex paused, looking at her without surprise. I expected nothing. I only did what needed to be done. You and your people taught me much about speed and instinct. Today, I hope we have taught each other something about strength and courage. Zira nodded, feeling a mix of pride and humility. She realized that strength was not defined by speed alone. A combination of courage, intelligence, adaptability, and persistence was what truly allowed a being to survive in the galaxy. Humans had all of these qualities in abundance. The Council convened later that day to formally acknowledge the contributions of all participants during the crisis. Zira and Alex were summoned to the hall, where the Vorlokian leaders stood in solemn recognition. The air was heavy with respect and anticipation, as the Council rarely addressed foreigners with such significance. Commander Zira, the lead counselor began, his voice firm yet respectful, and human Alex, your actions have not only saved countless lives, but have also challenged long-held assumptions. The Vorlokian people recognize today that strength comes in many forms, and your courage and ingenuity have proven invaluable. Alex inclined his head politely. It was an honor to assist. The goal was survival, and together we achieved it. Zira stepped forward, a sense of pride and admiration in her eyes. I have witnessed something extraordinary. Humans are often underestimated, and I believed you were no exception. But today, I have learned that humans possess resilience, creativity, and courage that can rival even the fastest and strongest Vorlokians. You have earned my respect. A wave of acknowledgement swept through the council chamber. Vorlokians, who had doubted Alex, now regarded him with curiosity and admiration. Some whispered in disbelief, others simply nodded, accepting that they had underestimated a species far more capable than they had imagined. After the formalities, Zira invited Alex to accompany her on a tour of the city from the high observation towers. The twin suns had begun their descent, casting long shadows and bathing the city in golden light. From above, the extent of the damage was visible, but so too was the effort to rebuild and restore. It was a city resilient in both design and spirit, much like the humans standing beside her. As they walked, Zira spoke, her voice calm but earnest. I have spent centuries training, testing, and mastering speed. I thought it was the ultimate measure of strength. Yet today I see that strength alone is not enough. Intelligence, adaptability, and courage can match, and sometimes surpass, physical power. Alex nodded thoughtfully. That is true for humans as well. We have limitations, yes, but we survive by observing, adapting, and persevering. Sometimes the mind can compensate for the body, and sometimes teamwork can overcome what one alone cannot achieve. Zira considered his words carefully. She had always believed that Vorlokian superiority was absolute, but Alex had demonstrated that it was possible to challenge expectations in unexpected ways. Humans might lack natural speed, but they had other qualities, creativity, intuition, and adaptability, that made them unpredictable and effective. The conversation shifted to the idea of alliances. Zira had long considered the Vorlokians to be solitary in their strength, relying primarily on their own abilities to survive and thrive. Now she saw the potential for collaboration. Perhaps there is more to gain from cooperation than I have realized, she said. Your species brings a perspective that could strengthen the Vorlokians in ways we have never imagined. Alex smiled, a faint curve of appreciation. And your people can teach humans about precision, speed, and instinct. Together, we can face challenges neither could manage alone. Zira's mind raced with possibilities. They could train together, exchange knowledge, and prepare for threats that might come from other corners of the galaxy. The Shathrax was only one predator among countless dangers. If humans and Vorlokians could combine their strengths, they would be a force few could match. The next days were filled with collaboration. Alex assisted the engineers and trainers at the academy, sharing techniques of observation, timing, and adaptive thinking. Zira guided him through exercises designed to improve reflexes and understanding of motion. They practiced drills that blended Vorlokian speed with human ingenuity, creating a unique synergy that neither species had experienced before. The citizens began to notice the cooperation. Vorlokian students, initially skeptical of Alex, started to embrace his methods, learning to think creatively while maintaining precision. Humans, observing the training, gained insights into speed and instinct that they had never considered. Together, they were discovering that each species could learn from the other, and in doing so become stronger as a whole. One evening, as the twin suns set behind the mountains, Zira and Alex stood together on the observation platform, watching the city below. The repairs were nearly complete, the citizens moving with renewed energy, and the sense of unity was palpable. "You have changed my perspective," Zira said quietly, almost to herself. "I believed humans were weak, fragile, and easily outmatched. But you have shown me that strength is not only physical, it is determination, intelligence, adaptability, and courage. I see now that humans can stand alongside the strongest beings in the galaxy." Alex looked at her calmly. "And I have learned that speed, precision, and instinct are just as important. By combining our strengths, we can face challenges that neither of us could manage alone." Zira nodded, feeling a deep respect for the human who had so profoundly impacted her understanding. She realized that this partnership was more than temporary. It could reshape the way species interacted across the galaxy, breaking assumptions and fostering cooperation where there had been doubt and hesitation. The Council recognized the potential of this new alliance. A formal agreement was proposed, allowing humans and Vorlokians to collaborate on future missions, share knowledge, and support one another in facing galactic threats. Zira played a key role, advocating for cooperation and explaining the lessons learned from Alex's actions during the Shathrak's attack. The agreement was celebrated throughout the city. Vorlokians and humans began working side by side, training, exchanging ideas, and preparing for the unknown. For Zira, it was a revelation. The galaxy was vast, full of unpredictable challenges, but with allies who complemented one another's strengths, survival and success were possible. In the quiet moments between training and coordination, Zira and Alex often reflected on their experiences. They spoke of courage, strategy, and the value of learning from others. Zira found herself admiring not only Alex's skill, but also his perspective, his calmness under pressure, and his ability to inspire those around him. Alex admired Zira's dedication, her unmatched reflexes, and her willingness to acknowledge mistakes and learn from them. One afternoon, as they overlooked the city from the highest tower, Zira spoke again. "I believed that strength alone determined survival. Today I know it is more than that. Humans have taught me that courage, intelligence, and adaptability are just as vital. And perhaps together we can prepare for threats we have not yet imagined." Alex nodded, a faint smile on his face. The galaxy is vast and unpredictable. But if we combine what we know and continue learning from one another, there is little we cannot face. Humans are often underestimated, but today, we have proven that perception is not reality. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting the city in shades of gold and violet, Zira felt a sense of hope she had not experienced in centuries. The events of the past days had changed her, the city, and the perception of humans across GalacticPrime. What had begun as a simple trial of speed had become a lesson in cooperation, respect, and the unexpected strengths of those once underestimated. And in that moment, Zira realized that this was only the beginning. The galaxy held countless mysteries, dangers, and challenges. But with humans and Vorlockians working together, combining speed, instinct, intelligence, and adaptability, they were prepared to face whatever lay ahead. The city was alive, the citizens resilient, and two species, once separated by assumptions and perceptions, were now united in purpose. Zira and Alex stood side by side, looking toward the horizon, ready to face the future together. For Zira, the lesson was clear. Humans were not weak. They were strong, not only in body, but in mind, heart, and spirit. And with respect, cooperation, and trust, even the most unexpected allies could change the course of history. The story of the human who moved faster than her eyes could follow would be told for generations, not just as a tale of speed, but as a testament to courage, ingenuity, and the power of unity. And for Zira, Alex, and the people of GalacticPrime, it was only the first chapter in a new era, one where boundaries were challenged, assumptions broken, and the true strength of humanity finally recognized.